Oh my gosh, I'm cold. I'll go up to this smelly truck. Yeah, it stinks. No thanks. Oh, got some snow covering the tops of the mountains now. Woo. Love this thing. I just wish it wasn't so windy. That looks cool. That cloud up on top. It's probably snowing up there. That's the skydiving plane? No. What's up, YouTube? So on this video I'm going to go over basically the differences on the experience. So I'm at 610 miles now and she's finally broken in. Really focused on babying her. In previous videos I talked about how like that first 100 miles I was really keeping it under 4K RPM, and then from about 100 to 300 I was actually progressively going up to 6K, and then from 300 to 400 I kept it mainly at 6K, but occasionally I would take it up to like 8, and then at 500 is where I was still allowing it to shift around 6, but going more at like 8 and a couple at 10K. Well, now that I'm at 600 I can be basically limitless. Yeah, I just need to get the maintenance done, so I ordered my oil, gonna go with the Mobile One, and then I got to make sure that all my bolts and chain are good to go too. So alright, going in between the 400 and 1000, I guess obviously the big thing is the weight between these two. When I went into rain mode, the throttle response was about the same. The power, not much of a difference there. I think rain mode really allowed for a smooth, natural progression into this kind of power. I'm still, obviously you can see, in road mode, but it's full power. It just has a little bit of a delayed throttle response, I feel like. You can hear it's kind of delayed. If you can hear it over this wind, dude, I am so cold right now. Bruh, 44 degrees. So the weight difference, you could get away with the forgiveness of a 400. It was so light, easy to flip around. I mean, obviously, like when you're riding, where you look is where you're gonna go. You could get away with like looking around while you're like turning and still being able to control it because it's so lightweight. But this bike, like you really got to be looking into that turn where you go. The other thing is like the rear brake. The rear brake on the 400, I mean, obviously it's important to use it, but it was so lightweight, pretty easy to stop. And then using that rear brake sometimes in tight corners, or like turn radius, tight turn radius is what I mean. That rear brake's really helpful to kind of like drag that rear tire. And at 400 it was so lightweight, it was easy to just, you didn't really have to use it that much. This bike, however, you really got to make sure like you use that rear brake a lot more often, especially if you're going to be trying to go fast. Obviously in sport mode it's less forgiving. I haven't done it yet. That'll be the next step now that's broken in. But covering that rear brake in case that front comes up, you got to make sure, like even when I've done some of those pulls, I'm watching my rear brake. I want to make sure like if that front comes up, one, I can slowly release on the throttle, but then I'm my foot's there. I'm ready to go. Drop that nose down. So cold, dude. Like, I'm so sad that winter is coming because I don't know what I'm gonna do. This is like my nice therapeutic escape. Those riding, you know something about it. So 400, really good beginner bike. Love that thing. Jumping from that to this, I wouldn't have done it any other way. I love the 600s. Obviously, that's what I've mentioned in previous videos. I was wanting to jump into a 600 just because I grew out of that 400. Well, not really like growing out of it. I just wanted something faster. Like, there's so much growth to be done, even on a 400. You truly can always be progressing in any kind of skill set with any of these bikes, even like dirt bikes. There's so much to learn and always ways to grow. It's just basically your perspective and priorities, what you want, what you're looking for, and how like confident you are behind these kind of bikes. As I've mentioned several times in previous videos, is I'm 6'3", 200 pounds, like 205 now. I've kind of bulked up a little bit, but yeah, the 400 just, I felt so cramped on that bike. It was hard to tuck on it. I was towering over it. It just was uncomfortable for me after a while. There's a nice CBR. All right, so back in the day, 1000s, everybody knows, like, completely different animal. Like, even still today, they're even more powerful. But today, the difference is you got a lot more technology on them. So much more, like traction control, wheelie control, different power modes, rider modes. There's even certain bikes that have like lane assist and torque assist for the 6-way axis. Like Kawasaki has that on their Z bikes. Even like, I think the ZH2 has that. So you can really set it up in a way that's low power mode and with all those other safety settings to allow you to kind of progressively grow into the bike and learn it. And that's what I've been doing on this thing. So there's like a bad stigma about people progressing into 1000s. I mean, it's subjective, right? Like, everybody has their own opinion, and there's a lot of good perspectives that people have to bring, but it's also like a confidence thing. And obviously you got to make sure like you've ridden before. That's the main thing. Whether if you've had smaller bikes or dirt bike experiences, it's important to make sure that there's riding experience. I'm going to continue this. I'm now at the gym, so we will continue our conversation later. Well, I'm actually going to head over to Dropbox. If you guys haven't voted, seriously, get out there and vote. Like, this is an important election. Vote early. I don't know actually when I'm going to be dropping this, but I'm going to try to drop it obviously before the election. Otherwise this means nothing. But yeah, do it. Show your patriotism. Anyways, getting back to differences on the 400 and 1000. Obviously, I mentioned earlier, the power and the weight. That's the main two. Other thing is this has a lot more, I mean, going with the 2024, this has a lot more electronic features. The Rideology app is really cool. I can actually post it up in the corner over here. I mentioned in another video, but check this out. Like, when you're leaning, it creates this automation. It tracks everything about your ride, so you can log it on here. And yeah, it's pretty sweet technology. I don't know what other 1000 cc's have that out there, but Kawasaki, they just kind of give it to you. All right, so Rideology, I'm connecting, gives me all my stats right here. And then if I want to actually log it, hit record, and now it's going to be able to log my entire ride. Pretty darn cool. Back to the GPS, which I don't know if you saw my other video, I ended up going with the rock form. So I have an installation, like a little quick YouTube short on how to install that, which is kind of tricky on, I don't know if you can see that on the ZX10, because right here is where you got to take that screw out, which uses like a 1040 security bit. and you have to make sure it's a security bit. It's got that hole in the middle that allows you to anchor it in and pull it out. Some of the other things, got the domino grips on here, the driven racing lever guards. I got the Shogun. So technology, that's a really big one here. Throttle response, once you get into road mode, it's actually a lot. I'm walking her out. Now walk it out. So once you get into the road mode, you can notice the big difference here with the throttle response, the power. It opens it up to full power, as I mentioned earlier. And yeah, I mean, when you're in the lower RPMs, it's not that bad, but I noticed once you hit about 6 grand, it kicks up quite a bit, and then 8K is where she really wants to start pulling and asking for more. She really wants that power. What the heck is going on here? Well, that's unfortunate. Reroute me, Google. Oh my gosh, my freaking legs. Oh, I hit legs at the gym today. They freaking hurt. Oh my gosh. I'm starting to cramp. I may just drive to the drop box, because dang, I can just feel it in my hip right down here, which I have to say, it's actually not as bad as my 400. That's another thing. So when you're a bigger guy, this thing just, it gives you the confidence that you need. It just feels way more stable, especially in the wind. Like today, how windy it was when I was riding to the gym. Huge difference. Like, man, my 400, anything over like 10 miles per hour, it would just, you could feel it, especially for a tall guy. I'm like a parachute in the wind. It just like pulls me around everywhere. I don't want to freaking go over these tracks. I hate these things. That's another point. So the 400 going over bumps, feel everything. It bounces you around. This guy, that Showa suspension, amazing. It just absorbs a lot of that impact, those smaller bumps and like railroad tracks. It's actually not that bad. I think I'm just like PTSD over my 400. I just feel like I bounce around like crazy. So the additional weight on this thing, when you're going a straight or you're on the highway, if you're looking for a highway bike, this thing is it. It's honestly way more comfortable than my 400 was. I would have, if I rode more than 30 minutes, I would have, for some reason, hip pain, especially if it was leg day. And then I would have my lower back, just from being like tucked over, I would have to tuck more because I would have to feel less wind resistance. And this thing, I can actually ride a little bit more upright, even though it is more aggressive. It's just more comfortable, and I actually love the way that this is angled because it fits my legs in here more. And once I got these stomp grips, especially with these mesh pants, it just, man, it feels so good. I definitely recommend the stomp grips. So another difference, the fuel economy. 400, I would average basically like 52 miles per gallon. On some good days, I was getting like 57. This thing right now says 33.6. I feel like that's actually around my average. On a good day, I'm hitting maybe 35. So there's about a 20 mile per gallon difference there. And yeah, it's not too bad. 30 miles per gallon, in my opinion, is still really good, especially for the power that you get out of this thing. It's so worth it. So then the other thing that we have here, cruise control. Once we get going, I'll display that for you. You got the quick shifter down here, which I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm getting older, but I've been getting a lot of wrist issues going on, and that just helps for clutch shifting. And then I mean, it still uses a clutch, it just blips it all for you. And then like the 400, I feel like there's a lot more room for error, honestly, without a quick shifter, where this thing just, it does it all for you. It really spoils you. I don't think you can go back after you experience a quick shifter, and it's just so much faster. You can just pin the throttle and keep it going. This is the big one. The 1000 sounds so much better, even with a stock exhaust. It sounds incredible. Like, what the heck is going on there? That power makes the confidence go through the roof, knowing that you can just change lanes when you need to, skip the traffic, just get ahead of it. Makes you feel safer anyways, knowing that you're in a bigger bike and you got more power. You can maneuver a little bit easier, at least in the straights and changing lanes. Not around a track obviously, but yeah, you get the gist. What else is there? It's Kawasaki, so I'm comparing a 400 and a 1000, but Kawasaki, they make bikes that you can beat up and they still run. It's probably the most reliable brand out there, that and Yamaha. I mean, Honda's pretty darn good too. I feel like their parts are a little bit more premium. But man, I'm telling you, the technology on this bike, how stable this thing is, it's really comfortable. Even with a stock seat, it feels so good. Stock exhaust, it's quiet, but it still actually sounds good compared to other bikes out there. Look at this view. You can see up at the mountaintops, it's like, it's snowing up there. Yeah, that's a 5th gear pull. I'm probably gonna go home because I'm cold. I'm not gonna do the drop box. I'll finish up some last few things between the differences of jumping from the 400 to 1000. Such a good bike. Like, this bike, it just has everything that you need. It's a dream bike, and I feel like it's so safe. Oh, we're already good to go. And it's addicting. You can just see the features that this thing's got. It's so much fun. And the way that they set it up, where you can just really restrict the power, it allows for so much more. I don't know, I feel like opportunities to grow as a rider instead of just jumping on a 1000 and just like, oh, how do I like handle this power? Like, they allow you to dumb it down, restrict it, but you still have the weight and the feel, the ergonomics that you can just start to understand before you fully unlock it. It's brilliant. What's that Charger, the Hellcat, the like red one? Man, I'm drawing a blank right now. Doesn't it have like a high-speed key so you can not wrap it around a tree? You get this Hellcat, and to unlock its full power, you have another key to do that. So when you're ready for it, it's there. Same thing with like the Bugatti Chiron. It's got that high-speed key. Yeah, we got a cold front coming in. It's getting chilly fast. Same was at 53, now it's at 46. If you guys have any other questions on my experience jumping from a 400 to a 1000, let me know. I'm glad to answer them, but I feel like those are probably the main things that come to my head, is the speed, the weight, the stability, the technology. Obviously insurance is way more. I don't even want to go there, but it's a lot. If you can pay it off the bike, obviously that's the way to go. Insurance will be way cheaper. You can do things to reduce it too. Take like a safety course, like MSF has a really good one. I ended up doing that. I'm cold, like I'm trying not to like shiver over here. Wearing this mesh gear was stupid too. Don't do that. Yeah, feel free, ask me any questions you guys got. If I had to do it all over again, I would. That's basically it. I love this bike so much, and it's just been so much fun to ride. Way more enjoyable than my 400, and I can literally take it anywhere, I feel like. Alright, so one last thing I was going to show you before letting you guys go is the cruise control. Let me get up to speed first. So when you're up to speed, you just hit this little guy and he lights up down here and up on top. And when you're trying to set that speed, you click set, it tells you set, I don't know if you can see that, and the speed that you're on. So now it's set 54 miles an hour, and then we got it. We're good. We're riding no hands. And then in order to disengage it, you just either hit the brake, it'll still tell you you're at 54 miles per hour, that's what it's set to. So whenever you want to re-engage it, you just hit this set button, but I don't want to do that in the turns. Oh, it's definitely snowing on those mountains. That's so cool. Got the powder on the tops. So you can also disengage it by just clicking this again, and it completely turns off cruise control. You can tap the front brake, you can tap the rear brake. Even if you pull in the clutch, it will actually disengage the cruise control for you, which is really cool. So it's like pretty much fail-safe. That's the cruise control. It's pretty sweet. I like to fill the ride, so I don't use it that often. Maybe on the highway I will. That's it. Like I said, if you got any questions, let me know. Thanks again for watching my videos. I appreciate all the support and love, guys. See you on the next one. Peace.